Today I want to talk about Bill O'Brien, who is reportedly going to be the new offensive coordinator at Alabama, and a bit about the LSU ongoing defensive coordinator search, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time. Today, I want to talk a little bit about Bill O'Brien, who, according to Bruce Feldman at The Athletic and Fox Sports, is going to be the new offensive coordinator at Alabama. Also want to get into LSU's defensive coordinator search as it is and what we can expect to come from it. But I don't usually take the stance of I like the hire right away, except when I like the hire right away, which seems redundant, but allow me to explain. Nick Saban has had such success with offensive coordinators and such success with defensive coordinators that it's really difficult to pick against him. Jim McElwain succeeded. Doug Nussmeier succeeded, right? Lane Kiffin succeeded. Brian Dable succeeded. And Steve Sarkisian succeeded. So I like the hire of Bill O'Brien. I know the baggage that comes from the Texans. I understand that the place is probably on fire, all things considered. The way that Deshaun Watson wants to get out. The way that J.J. Watt was apologizing to Deshaun for wasting a year of his career. And the way that Bill O'Brien was unseated after being head coach / GM there toward the end, but also just head coach 2014-2020. Really off of the reputation that he had picked up as a play caller, quarterbacks coach in college, Georgia Tech, Duke, and then, as many people came to know him, as quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator for a year for Bill Belichick with the New England Patriots before taking over the job at Penn State. And then the job he did at Penn State. That place really needed to have somebody that was going to wrap its arms around it and give folks an opportunity to really fall back in love with their team after one of the worst sexual assault scandals, sexual abuse scandals in sports history. So much so that all they do is say good things about him at that time. Goes back to the league, takes over the Texans. Generally speaking, we talk about Nick Saban and the staff of coaches he has and the analysts that he has, and we make jokes about his rehabilitation clinic. What we don't say is how much success that clinic has. Dudes go in, they come out, great coaches. Lane Kiffin, great coach at Florida Atlantic, is going to be a good coach at Ole Miss if he isn't already. Butch Jones, we'll see how that goes at Arkansas State. We saw how it went for Kirby Smart at Georgia, right? We're seeing how's it going to go for Steve Sarkisian at Texas. And we've seen how it goes for Brian Dable in Buffalo. Like, Doug Nussmeier is quarterback's coach at Dallas. You could do a whole hell of a lot worse than that. And he's going to get to see his kid play at LSU, which is where I kind of want to take this conversation. Because hearing that Zach Arnett interviews for the for the defensive coordinator job at LSU, and then they can't agree on what needs to happen for him to take that job, tells me something. Because Mississippi State is a step down from LSU. Fight me, Mississippi State fans. LSU just won a national championship, and they're going to return virtually everybody on their offense from 2020. That's super talented. And if you get the right defensive coordinator to go along with that offense, you could do some really cool stuff. One of the cliche terms of football right now is complementary football. What the hell does that mean? It means that you have a defense that is paired with your offensive philosophy, right? If you are the kind of defense that wants to go after people and attack them all the time, on the other side of the ball, you probably don't move very fast. You probably play methodical football. You probably want to run the ball with some 1990s NFL pro style play action stuff. You don't have an athlete at quarterback. You don't have burners on the outside. You are a big, strong offensive line and wants to run the football and take your shots when you can, get one-on-one matchups for big, strong receivers. On the other hand, if you are playing with an offense that just go, 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 you're playing a lot of base. You're probably playing more zone than man-to-man, and you're used to slowing folks down and then taking your opportunities to get the ball back and give it back to your offense, right? we know what LSU's offense is going to look like in 2020 because Ed Orgeron hired Jake Peetz and DJ Mongas, who both have ties to Joe Brady, and Joe Brady is seen as the architect of that 2019 offense, even as Steve Ensminger was the offensive coordinator and the play caller. They had this system where third down plays would come from the booth and would come from that Joe Brady passing game coordinator that is going to be the DJ Mongas passing game coordinator. I'm not sure what it is that needs to be said or the holdup with getting the defensive coordinator to take this job, because if Marcus Freeman would have took the job at LSU, I have no doubts that he would be good and that they would be good. Zach Arnett, I thought, did a pretty good job at Mississippi State in his first year to do the job at Mississippi State. And then I look around at the other defensive coordinators that you might want to go get or other play callers, and Don Brown took the job at Arizona. I don't think that Don Brown's a bad defensive coordinator. I just think that his time had run out at Michigan. It happens. When we look around at some of the other coordinators that I would go get, some of those guys got head coaching jobs, right? Like Jimmy Lake just finished year one. Alex Grinch is staying put at Oklahoma. Ryan Silverfield was elevated from coordinator at Memphis when Mike Norvell took the job at Florida State to head coach. It's really difficult to find a great defensive coordinator in this age of offensive football because offensive football has always been leveraged, right? Football has been leveraged toward the offense. To find talented coordinators like a Brent Venables who don't want to be head coaches is hard. Like Kevin Steele was a guy that I thought Ed Orgeron would take a look at because he did such a great job at Auburn, but he's going to take a job at Tennessee. But they're in a hiring freeze, right? So we'll see how that goes. Would he take a look at a guy like Kevin Steele after what he did at Auburn and how long Kevin Steele has been around the game itself? There are a lot of ways I would go here. There are a lot of rocks to turn over, as it were. You could go get a talented position coach and elevate him, whether it's a secondary coach, linebacker coach, or defensive line coach. There are guys that I think foot the bill for LSU, but I don't like that it's taken this long unless they're going about methodically trying to get the right guy. But I think they identified those guys in Marcus Freeman and Zach Arnett, and they just struck out on it. Could end up being a great thing for LSU down the line, but we won't know until we get down the line. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.